Somewhere in your body right now, there is a switch that turns rejection into pain. Not emotional pain, not a metaphor. Actual pain. The same pain you feel when you burn your hand or twist your ankle. You have felt it, you just never knew what it was. Think about the last time someone left you on red, or the last time you weren't invited. Your chest tightened, something in your gut dropped. You called it hurt feelings, but your brain didn't file it under feelings. It filed it under injury. That sounds like an exaggeration. It isn't. In the early 2000s, a psychologist named Naomi Eisenberger wanted to know what happens inside your skull the moment you get excluded. So she built a simple video game. 3 players toss a ball back and forth. You are one of them. Except you're not really playing with people. You're playing with a computer. And the computer is watching how you react when it decides to stop passing you the ball. The game was called Cyberball. It sounds almost too simple to matter. A cartoon ball. 2 other players. That's it. But here's the twist. While you played, you were lying inside an fMRI scanner. Every flicker of your brain activity was being recorded in real time. And when the other 2 players started freezing you out, tossing the ball back and forth between themselves like you weren't even there, something happened that nobody expected. The same region that lights up when your body is in physical pain lit up again. The anterior cingulate cortex. Say that once and forget the name. What matters is what it does. It's the part of your brain that raises the alarm when something is wrong with you physically. A cut, a burn, a broken bone. Eisenberger found that being left out of a game you knew wasn't even real triggered the same alarm. Your brain didn't know the difference between a social wound and a physical one. Why would evolution build a brain like that? Here's where the story gets stranger. For most of human history, being cast out of the group wasn't an inconvenience. It was a death sentence. Your ancestors didn't survive the ice, the predators, or the famine alone. They survived because they belonged to something. A dozen people who hunted together, who kept the fire going through the night, who noticed if you didn't come back. If you were exiled from that group, you likely didn't live long enough to have descendants. So somewhere across hundreds of thousands of years, the human brain built a warning system. Anything that threatened your place in the group got treated with the same urgency as a physical wound. Pain isn't just about tissue damage. Pain is your brain's oldest way of saying, pay attention, this could kill you. And for most of human history, exclusion could kill you just as surely as a spear wound. That's why rejection stings, literally. It was never a figure of speech. It was your ancestors' survival system, still running in your body. Thousands of years after the world it was built for disappeared. There's a researcher who spent decades studying what happens when that system stays activated for too long. His name was John Cacioppo, and he spent the back half of his career studying something he called the loneliness effect. Cacioppo found that chronic loneliness doesn't just make you feel bad, it changes your body. People who report persistent loneliness show elevated markers of inflammation. Their sleep becomes fragmented even when they get enough hours. Their immune systems respond as if the body itself is under siege. Loneliness, in other words, doesn't stay in your head. It leaks into your blood. Cacioppo believed this made sense through the same evolutionary lens. If your ancestors' brain treated isolation as danger, then long-term isolation should trigger the same stress responses your body uses for actual physical threats. Cortisol rises, vigilance increases, sleep gets lighter because a body that expects danger doesn't want to sleep too deeply. You become, in a very real sense, primed for a threat that in the modern world usually never comes, which raises an uncomfortable question. If your brain still runs this ancient alarm system, what happens when modern life keeps setting it off? You are, on average, surrounded by more people than any human in history. You can message hundreds of them in a single afternoon. And yet loneliness has been climbing for decades, not falling. Why? Part of the answer might be found in another experiment. This one led by a researcher named C. Nathan DeWall. DeWall wanted to know whether the link between social pain and physical pain could run the other way. If rejection feels like pain, could a painkiller actually dull the sting of rejection? So he ran a study where participants took a common over-the-counter pain reliever every day for 3 weeks, while a separate group took a placebo. Both groups reported daily levels of social pain, and a smaller group was scanned in an fMRI while playing Cyberball, the same exclusion game Eisenberger had used years earlier. The results were almost unsettling. The group taking the actual pain reliever reported less hurt feelings over the 3 weeks than the placebo group. And in the brain scans, the painkiller group showed reduced activity in the very same regions Eisenberger had identified as the seat of social pain. A pill meant for headaches was quieting the pain of being left out. Nobody is suggesting you medicate loneliness away. That's not the point, and researchers were careful to say so. The point is what it reveals. If a chemical built to dull physical injury can also dull the sting of exclusion, then the overlap between social pain and physical pain isn't just a metaphor your brain uses. It is, at some biological level, the same circuitry. So here's the modern mirror. Every time you check your phone and there's nothing there. Every time a message goes unanswered for hours. Every time you scroll through a group photo you weren't in. Your ancient alarm system doesn't know it's 2026. It doesn't know the group chat isn't a hunting party. It doesn't know that being unfollowed isn't the same as being left outside the fire circle to freeze. It just knows. Exclusion detected. Respond as if this threatens survival. That's why a small, forgettable moment of digital rejection can sit in your chest for the rest of the day. You're not being dramatic. You're not overreacting. You're running software built for a world where isolation genuinely meant death. In a world where isolation now mostly just means an unanswered text. Understanding that doesn't make the feeling disappear, but it does change what you do with it. Cacioppo's later research found something hopeful buried inside the grim data. The loneliness effect wasn't fixed by simply being around more people. It eased when people felt genuinely seen by even one or two others. Quality mattered more than quantity. A single real connection could quiet an alarm that hundreds of shallow ones couldn't touch, which means the ancient system isn't broken, it's just old. It was built for small groups, real eye contact, shared fires, people who would notice if you didn't come back. It was never built for a feed of thousands of strangers. So the next time you feel that small, sharp sting of being left out, left on red, left off the list, remember what your brain is actually doing. It isn't malfunctioning. It's running code written by ancestors who needed that alarm to survive the night. The switch that turns rejection into pain didn't break somewhere along the way. It's still exactly where it's always been, waiting for a group, waiting for a fire, waiting for someone to notice you didn't come back.